Court of the Philippines. Here's the latest.
Some courts in the southern part of the Philippines have suspended court operations in light of the magnitude 7.4 earthquake off the waters of Davao Oriental. Court Administrator Maria Teresa Dolores Gomez Estoesta has coordinated with the executive judges and the regional court managers of the affected courts to have their buildings assessed for safety. Minor damage have so far been reported in certain areas.
Supreme Court Associate Justice Maria Filomena Singh on Monday, October 6, represented the Philippine Supreme Court during the Fifth EU-PH Subcommittee Meeting on Good Governance, Rule of Law and Human Rights in Brussels, Belgium. Justice Singh shared the Philippine judiciary's efforts to revise the current rules of criminal procedure, the Code of Judicial Conduct, and the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for public officials and employees. She highlighted the expansion of the Justice Sector Coordinating Council, or JSCC's, Justice Zones, and the crafting of the JSCC Manual for Women in Conflict with the Law and Victim-Sensitive Guidelines. Meanwhile, SC Chief Communications Officer, Attorney Mike Navalio, answered queries on the status of certain cases of interest to the European Union delegates. Foreign Affairs Assistant Secretary Dina Joy Amatong led the Philippine government delegation. The EU delegation was led by Paula Pamploni, Deputy Managing Director of the Asia and Pacific Department at the European Union External Action Service, and EU Ambassador to the Philippines, Massimo Santoro. Justice Singh also spoke as one of the panelists at a discussion on open justice at the 2025 Open Government Partnership Global Summit in Vitoria-Gasteiz, Spain on Thursday, October 9. Justice Singh shared the idea behind Justice Zones created under the Justice Sector Coordinating Council, or JSCC, an interagency effort of the Supreme Court, the Department of Justice, and the Department of the Interior and Local Government. Conceived as a sector approach in delivering justice, there are now 16 Justice Zones across the country, with 3 more set to be launched in November, focusing on online sexual abuse and exploitation of children. Justice Singh touted the 87% excellent to very good rating of the Justice Zones, based on an assessment by the EU GoJust. Joining Justice Singh in the panel were judges and justices from Chile, South Africa, and Dominican Republic, as well as representatives from international civil society organizations.
SC Associate Justice Ami Lazaro Javier
Also attended the conference.
The OGP Global Summit gathered together more than 2,000 delegates from government, civil society, and policymakers around the world from October 6 to 10, 2025, to exchange experiences, best practices, and progress on open government initiatives. Acting Chief Justice Marvic MBF Leonen on Thursday, October 9, administered the oath of office of former Department of Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla as the new Ombudsman in a ceremony held at the Supreme Court. He was joined by SC Associate Justice Antonio Go Jr. and officials from the DOJ. In his message, ACJ Leonen congratulated the new Ombudsman and wished him the courage and the creativity to uncover breaches of integrity and instances of regulatory capture amid public outcry over alleged corruption in government projects. He urged the Ombudsman to build strong, evidence-based cases to ensure that those who must be held accountable can be made answerable before the courts. He also pledged that the judiciary will do its part. He said the Supreme Court en banc has agreed to create a working committee to inventory any and all projects within the judiciary that might have been undertaken by the Department of Public Works and Highways. On Monday, Acting Chief Justice Leonen also administered the oath of office of Senator Paulo Benigno Bam Aquino as the newest member of the Senate Electoral Tribunal, or SET. ACJ Leonen currently chairs the SET, which is composed of 3 Supreme Court justices and 6 senators. The SET is an independent constitutional body that hears and decides election contests involving members of the Senate. Also present at the ceremony were Justices Ramon Paul Hernando and Henry John Paul Inting, who complete the tribunal's roster of Supreme Court members. The Supreme Court has nullified the foreclosure of several properties after ruling that the interest charged on the unpaid bank loan was unfair and imposed without the borrower's consent. In a resolution written by Associate Justice Ricardo Rosario, the SC Special Third Division granted the motion for reconsideration filed by Editha Ang and Violeta Fernandez, whose properties were foreclosed by United Coconut Planters Bank or UCPB after they failed to pay a 16 million peso loan. The court emphasized that under the Civil Code, contracts must be fair and mutually agreed upon. A contract that depends only on one's party's will is void. In this case, the interest rate was solely determined by UCPB. Since the interest rate was invalid, the foreclosure of the properties was void. The SC held that the borrowers should be given a chance to pay the loan at an interest rate agreed upon by both parties. Otherwise, they would be at the mercy of the lender and risk losing their property without a fair opportunity to settle their debt. Acting Chief Justice Marvic MBF Leonen reminded tax and accountancy professionals of the vital role they play in ensuring that the country's tax system is fair and just. Speaking at the Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants, Inc. National Annual Tax Convention on Wednesday, ACJ Leonen urged tax and accounting experts to ensure that the tax codes are understood, not just as a set of rules, but as a means of promoting fairness and equity. He also discussed how digitalization presents both opportunities and challenges. He noted that fostering compliance requires ensuring that tax collection systems are free from corruption and unnecessary bureaucracy, factors that have long been associated with delays and efficiency. Addressing these, he said, is crucial to strengthening public confidence and ensuring that government processes keep pace with technological advances. The convention gathered tax professionals, policymakers, and members of the academe to exchange insights on emerging trends and challenges in taxation amid the evolving digital landscape. This week, the Supreme Court and the Philippine Judicial Academy, in partnership with the Pacific Judicial Council, hosted an international judicial learning program aimed at deepening cross-cultural understanding of justice and the law. Titled Echoes of the Law, Reawakening Judicial Heritage Across Cultures, the program gathered members of the Philippine and American judiciaries from October 5 to 9 for a series of exchanges exploring how law and culture intersect across societies. The event opened in Bonifacio Global City with distinguished participants including Associate Justices Samuel Garlan and Jose Midas Marquez, Guam Chief Justice Robert Torres Jr., and PHILJA Vice Chancellor and retired Supreme Court Associate Justice Edgardo de los Santos. Educational sessions followed at the Judicial Academy of the Philippines, where around 70 to 100 Filipino and American judges engaged in lectures and discussions led by judges, academics, and representatives of indigenous communities. The sessions offered historical, cultural, and socio-anthropological perspectives on justice and governance.
You are now up to date with the Philippine Supreme Court. I am Tiffany Beltran, Supreme Court Information Officer.